So now we are going and we're ready to identify some things at the case. Like I said before, you have 8 samples or fingerprint samples, and you have 5 individuals, one being the victim and 4 suspects. Those are the people that were wondering who they are. Now, when we look through and we match these things up, let's move through and take a look. So, for the victim, we have her fingerprints. Stop talking while I'm talking. And we look at Kim's fingerprints. Group, back there, 4, I think you guys are group 4, Keeling's group. What set of fingerprints, DNA fingerprints, do we have here that were identified as Kim's? 5? And how did you guys figure that out? You lined it up. So what we do is we take the fingerprints that are Kim's here. Do they match? It is a perfect match. Therefore, 5 is Kim's. We can rule out that one.
We got 7.
We got 7.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's 7.
Yeah. No, it's 5. It matches.
Look how it's off a little bit. 5 is perfect. Right? 5 is perfect.
Oh, yeah, what if she has twins? Her sister.
Her sister, oh, that's a good point. The sister's DNA, if it's an identical twin, how do you think that's going to look? It's going to be exactly the same because they're identical. Is Shemaika and Jemiah's DNA?
Yes, they are.
They're not identical. What about Carson? What about Carson and Deuce? Mr. Emerson.
No.
Not really, no.
Thank you. How are they identical? Are they identical? How can they be identical? One is a boy and one is a girl. So that means that they have different stuff underneath their diapers. All right, moving on.
Why you going so slow?
Attention back here because I don't know why y'all thought that's identical. All right, now we need to look at Kanye because remember Kanye loves. We got too much extra talking. We only have 45 minutes of class today. And we have a lot to cover. Kanye loves the shine, and he doesn't want anybody to have the shine, even if it's his wife. That's how arrogant he is. So, looking at Kanye's DNA fingerprint, what did he match with? You said 3?
Oh, it was 2.
You say 2? That is a perfect match. So Kanye is sample 2. All right. Then we have Ray J because he was seen at an area looking at a picture laughing, so someone assumed that maybe it was the picture that he took of Kim over here. Okay, well that's not the evidence that we have here. Quiet. Over here. Huh? What is Ray J? Ray J is number. Too much extra talking, guys. Perfect match. Okay.
I'm sorry, are we supposed to be writing this on the line paper too?
No, just your board. The line paper is something separate. Just wait, guys. We need to reel it back in. We do need to raise our hands and speak because we do have a lot to get under. Just hold the line paper. We're not using it yet. Nothing told you to write on the line paper. I said write on the whiteboard. Nothing on the line paper. Taylor Swift. They have bad blood for obvious reasons. Kanye stole her shine. So she wants to make his wife look bad. So, where's Taylor? Drink scary.
Number 8.
Number 8, you say. That is a perfect match. All right. So now we have this unknown. Drink, move to the other side of your table because you can't focus on that side. I don't have to give you another reason. Get up and move. No. So suspect 4. He's an unknown person or she's an unknown person that was seen lurking around the area. So therefore, we need to know who this person is and we need to check their sample. So for the suspect, 80s baby. Who's a suspect? What blood sample or DNA sample fingerprint match? 6?
Nope.
Perfect match. All right. So now we have identified every single one. So now,
Which one is ours?
as your supervisor, I'm telling you that when I went to this area, actually Nick went to the area.
Me. I'm
You were Nick. I thought you were Greg.
Oh.
Went to the area and sampled out what was there. That's the one that collected the sample underneath Kim's fingernails, and we got these two samples here.
Oh, shoot. That was Kim's.
What does this match?
It matches.
Let's put them all together. Is it a match with one?
No.
Is it a match with two?
No.
Is it a match with three?
No, Miss Wicked.
Four?
No, Miss Wicked.
Is it a match with five? It is a match with five. Who was five?
Kim.
Kim. So this is Kim's blood sample, so we know that that's not the suspect because she's the victim. So the other sample must be the culprit, right?
Uh-oh.
Dum, dum, dum.
It's number 6.
Is this a match?
No.
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 No. No. Yes. Oh my
Who's
God.
six? The unknown. So therefore, we have the victim's sample, and we have our unknown who was lurking around.
Oh.
That could be any one of you whose samples we got when we collected your DNA on yesterday. And based on your group chose who that suspect may have been the one lurking. Is it you? Yes, Chrissy has tried. Right now, you guys can go ahead, put your suspects and victims and samples back in the envelope, put your whiteboards back in the tray. Alrighty, sit down. Sit down. Have a seat. You got everything you need right now. Sit down. I'm gonna move you to the back because I don't have time. I don't have time for this extra talking. There are 3 reasons that we looked at on yesterday for the purpose of DNA fingerprinting. So, randomly picking one. Somebody said genetic testing, body identification, and analysis of forensic information. So far, what's one of these that we've already done? Analysis of forensic evidence. The other one, for body identification and genetic testing, that is encompassing, actually all of it is encompassing under one particular project because every single living thing has the same what? Not the same DNA, the same basis. Everything does contain DNA with the same 4 bases. So what we're going to do on our separate sheet of paper, we are going to take a couple of notes so that we get a little bit of an understanding, and we're going to title it Human Genome Project. And we're going to do this without a lot of talking so we can get through it all. Because at the end, you're going to be asked your opinions on some things. All right, both of you. Alright, so the Human Genome Project is an understanding of how DNA what's in that DNA that makes you who you are?
Genes.
Genes. Not the is and are, because if we read it, how DNA is or how genes are connected. And this whole study is called genomics. Not economics, but this is genomics, meaning we're studying what? Genes. The reason for this, once we can get deep down into the deepness of a cell and pull out the DNA and kind of get a better understanding of it, it helps us to understand a bunch of things. One reason is it helps to understand the complexity wonder of life. Like, why do we laugh? Why is something funny to one and not to others? Why cry? Why are some things sad to some and not to others? Why do we choose friends that we choose? All of these things make up who we are. And so when we study the DNA and the genes and the DNA, it helps to kind of get a little bit of understanding of why these things work. Question? I'm getting a sharpen one right now. Any questions about that? It's also useful in determining whether individuals I'm recording everybody.
All right.
So it's useful in determining whether, stop talking, individuals may carry genes for genetic conditions. They carry genes, meaning you have the genes, for genetic conditions. Like Alzheimer's and things like that. Huntington's disease condition. Sickle cell anemia. So when we get to study that, if we get to understand this, then it helps us out in several different ways. This here is going to help to develop. Help to develop what? If we're looking at the usefulness of determining if someone has a genetic carrier or a genetic condition, studying that is going to help us to develop what? Treatment. And what we call that is gene therapy. And that is going to be treatment for genetic diseases. And what it does is it gives healthy genes to make up for faulty ones. can extract healthy genes from one person, we can inject to the one that is not so healthy, someone who doesn't have the healthy or they have faulty genes, to help for gene therapy so that we can treat genetic diseases. I'm going to write 2 more things, and then we're going to move on a little bit.
You know how some people got like bipolar, you know?
Those types of things.
Is that
They do look at DNA and see if there's something in the DNA that's causing this. Yes.
okay? So instead of the Dr. President, the one on this was like the instrument, and then they took like all the plants and those like tested on the spiritual
It took all the what?
They took the plants like all the plants on the island or whatever, and it was like tested on the spiritual reactions to certain situations. Is that like that?
Yep. Yep, definitely. So, how was it done?
Oh,
What have we been talking about? What's that whole process? DNA what? Huh? No? What's that? Fingerprinting. What's another word for the DNA fingerprinting? Starts with a G.
Genetic.
What's that one, that last process you had to do to be able to get those fingerprints? Gel electrophoresis. So it's done by gel
Electrophoresis.
electrophoresis. That's also called, what do we say it was called? DNA fingerprinting.
Yeah. Electrophoresis.
This whole thing is the whole study of biotechnology.
I don't know how to write
Left out of H in technology. Biotechnology.
Come on, dude. Come on.
And biotechnology is obviously a science based on biology. Try to modify it enough so they're going to have a whole lot of writing so we can move on, but we do need to have the breakdown of this information so that we can have a good understanding of what we're going to be going into. In this situation, notice here, it says it gives healthy genes to make up for faulty genes. What are scientists doing in this instance? Are they keeping the genes the same in somebody, or are they changing it?
It's a mutation.
They're changing it. So not necessarily a mutation, but what scientists are doing, what's down here, is they are modifying DNA of organisms. Any questions for that? We do have just small 2 things, because then this is going to be called your biotechnology byproducts. Can I write this? I didn't write it yet. I'm about to write it. But I wanted to say it before I wrote it. So, I'm just going to erase this portion up here because you're going to keep writing, but obviously I don't have space to keep writing, so I'm erasing So, just to reiterate and go backwards. Biotechnology is a science based on biology. That's the D off of base. And it's modifying DNA of organisms. From there, once we modify it, once we change it, we come up with something. The thing that we come up with are byproducts, or biotechnology products. So now we have biotechnology products. That means the results of DNA modification. Does that make sense? Everyone? Okay. And some of these you've heard of before. One of the results are genetically modified organisms. What's the acronym?
GMO.
GMOs. The other one are transgenic organisms. Any questions on that? We're going to talk about that later, but I just need to label out exactly what that was there. So what you have now, in your packets or in your baskets, you have an envelope. And in your envelope, you have some situations. You are going to partner up. I think there's 2 envelopes here. So each group has, you're going to create however many groups you have per envelope. So if there's 3 envelopes, you need 3 groups at the table. If there's 2 envelopes, you need 2 groups. And I'll explain to you what it is that you're going to do. So spread the envelopes out so that you... Oh, for the group that had, you found out that the child you or your wife carries has the gene for dwarfism. A new therapy exists that may repair this gene before the child is born. What do you do? Who has this? What did you decide? Y'all didn't have to decide together, but
Probably did.
tell the reasons why.
Because we wanted,
Say what B is.
B is attempt a new therapy to repair the genes.
Okay.
And we chose that because we wanted our kids to go up and play sports, but we didn't want to kill them.
Okay, so they said they wanted them to play sports. They didn't want to abort the child. Okay. Understandable. Anyone? What if the treatment mess with your child?
We took that in consideration.
They took that into consideration,
But we still chose that.
but they still chose to do it. Okay.
I would say that very important when you get
It does. But was money a factor for you?
for your life.
No, because you rich.
Well, if you were, what if you weren't rich?
Yeah, you're a
You just have to go along with it. Would you be okay with the fact that your child can't play sports? Okay. Well, okay. There's no right or no answer. Notice everyone has their reasons and beliefs. Let's take a look at our next one. An agricultural company has found a way to make tomatoes 50% larger by splicing elephant genes into the tomato. Will you do what?
I said for you to focus the company.
Protest the company, why?
Because no one wants to eat.
Okay.
I do.
You eat beef, turkey beef.
Turkey.
You say that. So she said she would protest the company because she would want elephant genes. Let me propose something to you. What if you go to the grocery store, you have these larger tomatoes, You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't eat tomatoes, but you're the only one who may not eat tomatoes amongst the group. So what if they're larger, would you buy them? When you don't know. What if you don't know? We're not talking about large tomatoes like this large. We're talking about just, sometimes you have tomatoes that are small like this, sometimes you have a nice plump tomato. Okay? Who has this? Pet training is now available at the local mall. You used to have a pet dog named Charlie, but he died a few years ago. Let's hold that set. Tomorrow we'll pick it up. Hey, before we move,